Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Operator Framework Working Group meeting. My name is Daniel Franz, and I'll be the host today. I'm going to get things started here with our subscription deprecation demo. I'm going to go ahead and just get that started. Just 1 second. Is this text big enough for everyone to read on my terminal?
It is for me.
Okay, great. I'm not 100% sure on the pacing of this, so I'll do my best, but it might be a little fast. If it is, we can just replay it, and I'll take questions at the end. So what I'm going to show here is first a catalog source. This catalog source contains packages that have deprecation metadata attached to them. And we can see if we run OPM render on this bundle image or on this catalog image, we have messages about the Chiali operator being deprecated on a particular bundle, package, and channel. So now what I'm doing is I'm creating a subscription to grab the Chiali operator at version 168. So that should demonstrate, what I want to demonstrate here is that we will get a deprecation message for each level of these deprecations. And by forcing OLM to give us version 168, we should see that message there as well for that. So we're just installing the Chiali operator at version 168 right now. And then once that's finished, we should be able to take a look at the subscription and see that we have conditions here. One for the package being deprecated, one for the channel, and one for the bundle. This bundle message tells us to upgrade for support. And this situation may not be necessarily realistic, but what I'm going to do here now is approve the install plan to upgrade from 168. So now we'll upgrade to 175. And once we upgrade to 175, this bundle in particular should no longer be deprecated, although the package and channel for Chiali on channel alpha are still deprecated. So we'll still get those messages, but we will no longer have the message telling us that bundle is deprecated. So yeah, that as I thought that was kind of fast. So I'm happy to rerun it. And if anybody has any questions, now is a good time.
I thought the pacing was pretty good. So thanks for sharing, Daniel. That was really cool to see.
Of course, thanks. All right, I don't see any hands up, so I'm going to move on to our next agenda item. But yeah, thanks everybody for watching. Next up on our agenda is registry v1 support in Carvel, cap controller, and extensibility. Is there a PR that's supposed to be linked here, or does the
I added my initial for that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, would you mind talking about that?
Yeah, like we could discuss this topic at the end as well if you all want, because this might be like a long one, I guess.
I think that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I'll touch back on this once we finish. Thanks, Andy, for moving that. Alex, working group meetings for the 19th and 26th.
Yep, so I just wanted to point out that we have the holiday season approaching, and we're going to have reduced capacity as we grow nearer. And I definitely think we want to cancel the meeting on the 26th, but I wanted to also ask if we wanted to cancel the 19th as well. Does anyone have any strong feelings? I can leave the 19th if you guys want it left.
We could leave it open and just cancel it day of if no one's joining.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Yeah,
Okay.
I feel like. So sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, okay, yeah, let's do that. I think that's a good idea, and then we'll just get rid of the 26th because there's no way anyone's showing up for that, in my opinion. So I'll do that. Next item I had was just an announcement that we have KeepCon EU 2024 maintainer tracked submissions due by the end of the year. What I was hoping to get is anybody who's interested in being a part of that submission, just add your name underneath that bullet point, and I'll follow up with you and make sure that you can be included in that process. So, this is an opportunity to showcase some of the cool work that's been going on in the operator framework. If you're able to also represent the project at this event at KeepCon EU, it's so if you want to present there, we could define the process for doing that. Just let me know. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Alex.
I should note that there's no funding through the upstream project to get you there or help you stay there. So it's costs got to be covered by your employer or by yourself. Cool.
All right. Thanks. Andy and Bryce for the multi-tenancy discussions.
Yeah, thanks. So I posted in the OLM Dev Slack channel yesterday, looking to try and rally to get folks together in early January to talk about multi-tenancy in more detail and try and iron out all the things. We do have a couple of documents that are works in progress. There's a Google Doc, which has a lot of brainstorming in there. There's a slide deck, which is a little bit newer, which may change some of the things that are in the doc, but I think both sets of content are useful. Ask would be, if you're interested in multi-tenancy, please take a look at those documents, and we would love to try and get folks together to discuss in early January. So Bryce, I'm going to hand it over to you if you're willing to talk about the scheduling for that.
Yeah, and hopefully folks can hear me okay.
Yep.
So there was, in that Slack thread that Andy has started, there was a good amount of folks from IBM that were interested. And just based on the amount of people that had responded, the current time that works best for an initial meeting is January 3rd, 11 to 12 EST. Or 11 at noon EST. And my plan there is that if we need more meetings after that before the next week, we can schedule them as needed. But I don't have permissions to get something on the community calendar for this. That way, if more folks are able to kind of see it. So currently I just created a meeting on a calendar internally that I have access to. And shared the Google Meet information on that Slack thread. But it would definitely be nice to be able to add to that community calendar. And that kind of feeds into my next topic about who has access or permissions for that and whether or not we can expand that to maybe folks that are maintainers of the different projects in the operator framework. That way we can create these calendar or meetings on the calendar as we need.
Right, so I can do that. And I've actually just compiled a list of all our maintainers, so I know who to add. I'll actually add something to the agenda that will give the list of maintainers that I'm submitting to the CNCF for the operator framework project. And I'll add anybody who's on that list to management permissions on the operator framework calendar. Does that sound good?
Sounds good to me. Thanks, Alex.
All right, thank you both. So then that, I believe, leads us into our last topic from Praveen.
You. So we have been like wanting to join this meeting for a long time, and basically it's to continue a discussion that was already going on in the OLM dev Slack channel, which so like what we wanted to discuss was like the support for the registry plus V1 bundles. Like there was a discussion around whether it should be a templating step or it should be treated similar to like package and package installs. And I think Joe shared the idea there that I see your raised hand. I'm not sure if it's for...
That was from earlier.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so it's basically for like Joe's idea was that users would like try to point to like a bundle and create a package repository for it, and we would like internally cap controller would try to like extract the packages out of it, and then users could install specific operators from that. I think there are like a lot of issues that y'all are facing right now with the current package installs. Like it does not satisfy all the requirements. So wanted to discuss on like what are those things. I think we have already talked about a few of them. Varsha has already created some issues. I think Andy, you have also created some issues. So yeah, like if we can get an idea of like what are the current limitations, because most of the ones that we have seen so far are something that we would want to enhance on the package install side as well. Like it's common for both Kaval users as well as OLM users, I guess. So yeah, just wanted to know your thoughts on that.
I can start. The API that we are building out for OLM is currently called Operator. We, as an aside, will probably not maintain that name, but go with something else, but that's just an aside. The characteristics of the Operator API include things such as making sure that when you're doing an update, that there are no breaking changes to any of the CRDs that are being updated, at least as best as we can identify programmatically. And if there is a breaking change, OLM would not allow that to proceed. There's also dependencies. So a bundle can declare that it depends on specific APIs or other bundles, and we will reject the installation or delay the installation of an operator until all of those dependencies are satisfied. What else am I missing, Varsha or others?
I think you mentioned about the upgrade, Andy. No. And the multi-tenancy part of it, which we don't have it yet, but probably something which we are looking to add.
Right, so there's CRD upgrade safety, dependency resolution, multi-tenancy, and what Varsha means by multi-tenancy is a reference to what we were talking about a few minutes ago for scheduling in January. But to try and put it as simply as possible, we're going to try and find a way for multiple operators in probably different namespaces but I guess you could do the same namespace to be able to install the same package and the same sets of CRDs at potentially different versions, maybe watching different namespaces, and be able to do that in a safe manner, including working around the restriction that in CAP, only a single app can own a single resource. And we have a way to work around that. So that's multi-tenancy. I'll also add that there's, this isn't fully implemented yet, but constraints and pre-flight checks. So some examples there might be an operator can only be installed if there's at least 2 nodes in the cluster or something like that. What else do we have? These are some of the big ones. Joe, am I missing anything? Or anyone else for that matter?
The other one maybe is just upgrade traversal, like upgrade graph traversal, which is sort of...
Yeah. So I'm gonna just put finer grained upgrade controls. So this is things like, so in the current OLM and the catalogs, the authors can specify that for a given version, it replaces a prior version, and there's a way to emulate Semver, but also do non-Semver like upgrade graphs. And there's some additional requests to be able to take Semver as a starting point, but also provide some guardrails. So as an example, maybe you could say, I'm the author for the whiz-bang operator, and everybody who's currently on version 1.0 whatever must go to a 1.1 of any kind before they can advance to 1.2. And so it's still Semver, but you put a little bit more control over what has to happen to traverse upgrades. And so just at a high level, like these are some of the things we're looking to do. And I'm curious on the Carvel side, do any of these sound like things that you'd want to put into the package install, or are there things that you look at and say, no, we definitely don't want that?
I think most of them actually make sense. Like I think even I have seen some requests around dependency resolution, fine-grained upgrade controls. I think even multi-tenancy. So both from community and within VMware/Broadcom. So these definitely make sense. I think there were some more around permission management, I guess.
Oh, yes. Thanks for the reminder on that. So we have docs for this, and just to answer the comment in chat about an all-in-one example, unfortunately, we don't have an all-in-one example that covers all of these things. This is an area where a lot of this is still in design, but as these get designed, we will definitely flesh out as broad of an example as we can. In terms of permissions management, there is a feature where in the operator, the person creating the operator CR can say, I want to configure RBAC for some arbitrary number of users and or groups. And it's just a shorthand way to couple the permissions management with the operator itself and eliminate the need to know what are all of the APIs that this operator provides. So it's a bit of a shorthand to say, I'm going to give Bob edit permissions for all of the APIs that come from the Mongo operator. I don't want to list them out. I just want the system to take care of that for me. That's also not implemented yet, but we do have a design for it. And I will yield to Varsha.
So I just wanted to add, apart from what you said, Andy, just to steer the conversation on having, on mentioning the solution which Praveen was talking about, like having a single API handle everything, whether it's an operator bundle or a general application, which can be installed. So there are a lot of APIs which Carvel has, which have a direct similarity between what OLM has. For example, the package install in Carvel is very much related to what operator API does. So in addition to the characteristics which Andy, you just mentioned, there is a lot of commonality between what both the solutions do. So I just wanted to add the fact that if we have a single solution which does everything together, we could also try merging the APIs and have more intense discussion about that, but in a future where we have a single solution handling everything. So I just wanted to add the fact that there are a lot of APIs which OLM has, which is very similar to what Carvel has in general, though the internal implementation of how Carvel handles catalog and OLM handles catalog may be different, but the overall sense of how we are trying to solve a particular problem could be pretty much common between both the projects.
Thanks, Varsha. I'll also add that I know Joao was wondering if it made sense to think more about cap controller extensibility. And this goes back to the opening comment about should registry v1 bundle support be a templating step or a package unpacking step, and or should it be some sort of extensibility option in cap controller with the app CR? I think we would love to try and iterate quickly and often. So I know Varsha had done some investigation to see if we could just use plain YTT to unpack a registry v1 bundle, and you got most of the way there, right, Varsha?
Yeah.
Okay. So that could potentially be an option for us that may not require any changes to cap controller. I think if we are looking for anything broader than that, it might be nice to consider finding some way to either add registry v1 support as a fetching step, or adding some sort of like exec type of option so that we could call out to a plugin, so to speak, to deal with that. But I know I don't think Joel's here, so that's probably worth further discussion when he's available.
Yeah,
I think the
definitely.
last thing I'll say is we do have a bunch of docs. So we have two types of docs. One is called a brief, and that's kind of like a high level design with some product needs in there as well. And then we have RFCs, which are the detailed design docs. And if you haven't already, you can join the OLM Dev public Google group, and that'll give you access to all those docs. I'll put a link to all of that in the agenda as well. And thanks, Varsha, for the, I'll get that thing added on health as well. Go ahead, Praveen.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up the extensibility part next. Thank you. So we have been like trying to work on proposal around that. I think Thomas has one up right now. It's still in draft, but we're hoping that we would soon be able to reach a state where, Samik, it's pretty early, but we'll try to like work with Thomas on that and see if try to close it as soon as possible so that we can start working on that. And I guess a good starting point would be to make sure that there is some sort of extensibility in CAP controller to support registry plus V1 bundles. And like we can decide whether it has to be in the fetching step itself, like or templating. I guess fetching makes more sense. And then in parallel, we could work on all these items that are listed out to ensure that these are also supported later on. And like all these are definitely something that the Kawal community would benefit from as well.
Okay. So I'm just getting the links here in the doc for the briefs and RFCs. Yeah, if you have proposals you'd like us to review, that'd be great. I also I want to see if we can find a way to work together and take steps to move forward rather than waiting to get giant proposals written, reviewed, and then implemented. And I don't want to make you all or us compromise on like the ideals of the project. So I don't want to say, hey, go add this one-off feature for OLM just because we need it now. I want to make sure everybody's in agreement, but I also just want to emphasize if we are able to iterate, that would be really cool to try and find some sort of way to do that.
Samik, I see your hand up.
Yeah, like I just wanted to call out another point. Like one of my bigger concerns was like we also need to talk about how, let's say, the package install API evolves to support some of the stuff you all want to pull in, right? And I think it like, so we have this mechanism which might make it possible for OLM, for example, to add in some additional information without changing the API. So to elaborate, if we do split OLM into a fetch and template stuff, we have this mechanism for feeding, let's say, annotations on a resource into the template step so that it can be exposed to OLM. This definitely does not solve all the problems, but let's say you have a way of adding information about how upgrades should be ordered. And if it helps to feed it into a template step so that that can be delegated to OLM without the package install API itself calling it out, like it might unblock a few cases if that's something we can work towards.
Yeah, maybe. Do we have, for folks who are more familiar with V0, do we have upgrade order that we need time.
Andy, what was the last part of your question? Do we have update order what?
So in V0, is there anything that is either codified or in manifests that governs the order at which updates are applied during an upgrade?
It all comes from the catalog. And the way the catalog gets built comes from metadata that's in the bundles, but
like for a single bundle, if you're upgrading it, does it do CRDs first and then something else later?
Yeah, I don't know that one off the top of my head.
Yeah, yes, it's ordered. It's ordered. I believe it does like CRDs first, and then I think it creates the CSVs, and then it creates everything else with the owner references. So
okay, so yeah, go ahead.
Example was a bit open-ended. Like what I was trying to say is, let's say we want to add some more information to the APIs. It does not need to be blocked on evolution of the API. We could like start off by adding the information as annotations if it helps, and have it feed into OLM, have it like fed into OLM initially, and then like we can sort of work towards incorporating it to the existing API. It's a possibility if we split OLM into fetch and template steps.
Yeah. Would it be useful to either now, if folks are prepared, which I'm putting others on the spot, so they may not be, or another time to get together and show the pieces of OLM and what a registry v1 bundle looks like and how the translation works that Varsha put together?
Yeah, I can show a quick demo on that. Do we want to do it right away, or would next meeting be a good place?
I would say if like we're here, so if it's something you can do on the spot, that'd be awesome. If you're not prepared, that's totally understandable, since I didn't ask you about it before. And if you need some time, we can do it another time.
Yeah, I just need to get everything ready. 1 minute. Let me check things out. I would prefer next meeting if that's fine. I don't have a cluster running right away. If it's next meeting, I could give more detailed demo on registry v1, how OLM handles, and what we are expecting from Carvel, if that's.
Yeah, and I think the suggestion in chat to just start a Slack thread and share some information there could work, or Slack thread, HackMD, whatever combo works. If you want to spend some time and paste in the details, folks can look at it when they've got some spare minutes.
Yeah, that sounds good. I can get that started.
Cool. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Our next agenda item was from Alex for the operator framework maintainers.
Yeah, so I updated the list of maintainers to include steering committee members and people that have approval permissions in the operator lifecycle manager and operator SDK repositories. I also tagged old maintainers that no longer contribute to the project and just removed them, so they had an opportunity to say if they wanted to remain or not, and everybody was cool getting removed. So this should be the most up-to-date list of current maintainers. So going back to our conversation earlier, if you want to manage or edit permissions on the operator framework calendar, just and your name isn't in this list, please reach out. Cool.
Awesome. Thanks for going over that. Unless we have anything else, our last items are to go over our milestones. So I'll open up catalog D here with V011.
Yeah, so I think we're probably good to cut a V011 release So I can take that as an action item to cut that later this afternoon.
Excellent. I'll jot that down here. And then operator controller. Got V090 with just one closed issue here. Anything to add on this?
I think there's been a little bit of work since then. It might be nice to cut a milestone soon before we go into the holidays.
Sure. Yeah.
This
this one is due by December 18th, so theoretically we would just cut a release on Monday. We could do it sooner, of course, if we want to, but yeah, if somebody would like to do that, I'll add that here. And then lastly, we have Deppy.
I think with Deppy, Pear had started a discussion around what should we do with Deppy. So I would say we probably need to follow up on that and just defer any continued milestone grooming on that for right now.
Sure. Sounds good. All right. Before I finish things off, I'll first ask if anybody has something they want to bring up last minute, and then I'll get to our action items. Okay, so does anybody want to volunteer to cut the operator controller release on next Monday? I'm also happy to do it. Okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and do that next Monday. And then additionally, we have our working group meeting next Tuesday. Do we have any volunteers that want to run the meeting next week? And if we don't have any right now, that's fine. I can just put this into our Slack and figure it out there, just so we don't keep people here. And then I believe that is everything. So thank you all for joining today. Some awesome discussions. And see you potentially next week if we have enough people.
Thanks, Daniel.
Yeah, thanks everybody.